Reverse.
No, it's like that.
What's up,
Hi,
everybody? We're having a kind of a surreal moment. Like, if you were with us, I would be on the other side. I would be where Teresa is, and Teresa would be where I am.
I mean, that's how the video will come out. Maybe we'll be on that side.
So, we had such a good time with our live video Wednesday, 2 days ago, that we wanted to do it again. And it seems like it's useful to kind of have videos related to specific topics or phases, if you will, within this kind of exit the matrix path or journey that we've uncovered through our podcast interviews, through our own experience. And so this one today is about kind of a second part called revisioning.
Yeah, so we were talking the other day about how life change, exiting the matrix, comes from knowing your calling and like what your mission is, what your true joy is, what your excitement is, what you always wanted to do, what's been like wanting to be expressed through you, that it just wants to burst, and then when you find that, when you really find that and you like grasp onto that the way that we did, you start to see how your life set up the way it is often doesn't serve it. So it often doesn't serve it. Often our life is set up because due to the stories of others, the matrix code, as we've been calling it, the stories of what we think we should be, what we need to do to seek validation, what we think we need to do to survive, as automatons working in the matrix and making money and like just barely getting by and whatever it is, right? And often our relationships are set up around validation. Like often our whole life structure is set up around this need to get validation from others, and usually because we're not living our calling, it's wildly off from serving it.
Yeah, so what happens, at least what happened for us and what we've seen happen in many, many others, is that once you really tune into that calling frequency, and once you understand that it's not just a fantasy or your imagination, that it's really like who you're supposed to be, like it's your design, it's your theme, wanting.
It's not a wild dream or a daydream, or like these things get labeled, right?
Yeah,
that's just a dream. Yeah, matrix code.
So once you really understand the context of that high excitement, that super high vibe state, and you give it permission to flourish, and you give it permission inside of your field to expand and to really, you give it some legitimacy. What happens is, like virtually every area of your life, if you begin to explore it, kind of feeling that calling, understanding that calling, applying that calling energy, will want to be rearranged, reorganized, redesigned. We call it revisioning because what we found is that when you tune into that, it just happens. Like there's no action necessarily. You don't have to kind of get out a pen and paper and start writing things down. It just sort of happens. It can't not happen. When you're out of alignment, and when you're as far out of alignment as I was some years ago, when you begin to tune into that, suddenly like all of this stuff is seen fresh and new, and it just begins to fall away or want to fall away. And what happens is like you begin to kind of make changes, like really like almost rapid fire. Like these things have to go, these things have to change. For us, like one of the first things you do is you just look around your home. You're like, holy shit, let's get rid of this stuff. It's like weighing us down. It doesn't feel good to have boxes of old files and paperwork and like college journals. Like I kept college journals for like 15, 20 years thinking, oh, I need to keep this. It's like you don't even think about it. Like, no, this is what we keep. Like, no, throw that shit away. Like, get it out.
Yeah, I think like the more, we were talking about this a little the other day, but the more you get really like aligned and kind of juiced up about your calling, and like the more you accept that this is what you're really here to do, not just some fantasy, the clearer it becomes about what doesn't resonate in your life. And you may just know, like often there's one big thing that like just clearly is not right, that makes you unhappy, that you may actively dread, you just don't feel good about it. Often it's a job. A job is like a big thing often that doesn't serve our calling, not always. Sometimes you can live your calling in your job in many different ways, but often that's like a big pain point. Like what is not resonating in your life the way it's set up? And often, again, like often we're so conditioned that we just think we're not supposed to be happy about these things in our lives. It's just the way it is, right? Matrix code, So, but often there's one big thing. But then, like usually the other things, like there's a lot of other things. What we found, like when I like first really like tuned into my calling and understood, accepted it, and like got excited about like this is what I meant to do here, and nothing else really matters. This is the point of my life. when I tuned into that, like, it was very clear that I had to quit my job. Like, leave it finally, like, leave the career I had been in. You know, I had quit jobs before and gone back to the same job or recreated the same job out of my belief structure or my limited beliefs, but like that I knew had to go, you know. And then it was like our living situations and support our calling. You know, we were just like, oh, like paying a mortgage for a condo. You know, we had a house in New York we sold and we went and bought another one. And then we were like, you know, like, oh, but we're near the beach. But like, no, it was like the same structure. And so then we like decided, no, we got to like wipe this slate clean, and we hopped into a van so we could like kind of just really be flexible and not, you know, not have that payment, but not have that kind of like weighed down structure of our life. It didn't resonate anymore. And like so many other things, like certain relationships start to, when you get more and more tuned and more in tune to your calling and who you really are, a lot of relationships become irrelevant. And you start to be in conversation like, what is this conversation about? Because you see yourself as you see your higher self, you see the higher mission that you have, and those things just don't become relevant. Same with a lot of your stuff. Like I remember like things in my closet I was keeping for years that like, oh, maybe I'll fit into this, or I spent so much money on this in a moment of like addicted spending, like I gotta wear that, or like just it'll be like, this is a good example of like our bookshelf. So like we moved from New York to California, and we brought like so much stuff with us. Like it cost us like $4,000 or move. It was like totally insane looking back at it, like what we brought. And then we moved out of Encinitas, and we like moved into a van, and we saved just like a few boxes of stuff at my mom's house, Steven's mom's house. And then recently coming to Costa Rica, like we gotta get rid of more of this shit. Like this is not us anymore. And in each of those moves, you just see like how we had gotten clearer about who we really were. How we saved this book, like, oh, now this doesn't serve, you know, like we were really identified with some of those things still. Like mostly I'm thinking about books because we saved a lot of books, but it's true about clothes, it's true about all this stuff, you know.
Paperwork, notes,
pictures, like all kinds of things.
Pictures. Yeah. You can take a picture of your picture and keep it on your phone forever and not have to have the thing. Anyway, this is not about minimalism, but that is sort of like the thing that immediately happens. Like you begin to just grab the next, like the thing right in front of you, which is usually stuff or clothes or things that are really easy. You could just like, by the time you go to bed tonight, feel like you're moving in the right direction. But typically, every area of life is reapproached, redesigned, revisioned, relooked at. Food and diet's a big one. Relationships are a big one. Where you live, how you spend your money, your income, your work. All of these things should be questioned. And over the years, I've come back to this over and over and over again. And somewhat due to the fact that I didn't really have support. I didn't have somebody kind of like saying to me, like, you got to go all the way. Like, I would go like 50%, then the next time I'd go another 20%, another 20%. Finally, like, you know, the last 10%, it just took years, and it didn't need to. It really didn't need to. It could have been like, a clearer, kind of more decisive path taken. That's okay. It's given me a lot of experience, a lot of ways to help. But anyway, like having like support around you and people guiding you and other people along the path, and like clarity around that is really, really important, because there will come a point where the bigger things begin to loom. Often these are jobs and relationships, or maybe where you live, or kind of how you live. If you're in a partnership, that can kind of be like the foundation of it can be rocked when one person's like getting clear on their calling and the other person's like kind of wants to live the old life. Like that's a big deal. So at a certain point, like that's going to be in front of you. That sort of moment of like, okay, this is not about putting bags of stuff out on the street or in the garbage, or, you know, changing our diet, or like turning off the TV at night, whatever it may be. This is like a big deal. And that's actually the crucial point in this process, something we call burn the boats, which is when that thing is going to appear for you. And this is kind of the next topic, but that thing is going to appear for you. And if you don't take that action, in my experience, I think you would agree, like, you're not going to make it, you're not going to get out. You're going to stay stuck. And 9 times out of 10.
There were many times, like there are lots of tools. Sometimes you just know, like sometimes you already know. Often you already know the things that you would want to change in your life. But like all these limiting beliefs, like flush in, all these lack beliefs flush in about why you can't, usually related to money or validation. It's usually those things, like usually related to like needing to survive and like needing other people to think you're okay. and like not feeling like brave enough to step forward. And it's so conditioned, you know, it's so conditioned. At least that was the truth for me, and it is for many people we worked with and that we know. And so like for me, I had done, like, I've been a part of coaching programs, yoga training, other spiritual programs, my own meditation practice, lots of journaling, lots of whatever. And I had so many times written, I'd done vision boards, I did the artist way, I'd done all these things. And like vision boards are a good tool, you know, like writing, like free writing on your dreams in different areas of your life they are really good tools. But the thing is, you can have a vision, I would have like a vision board up and like just not do those things because I was holding on with all of my lack beliefs to my job. And for me, that was like a crux of it because it was so wrapped up in my identity, who I thought I was, who I thought I needed to be in the world, to be worthy, to be valid, to be a, you know, valuable person, and to like get the validation of my parents and the rest of society and like all these relationships I built up. And it's like, you know, if you build the structure of your life around that matrix, you build the structure of your life around needing to be validated, and you like, it's very scary to take it down, you know? And so like, I did like so many of those kind of programs. I knew so many ways I wanted to change my life before I was finally willing to like kick that domino over and like burn the boats, as Stephen said. And there were times like I quit jobs and went right back to them. You know, like there were times when I just wasn't willing, and that's why the calling was so key, because it's like, oh, like I didn't know what I was supposed to do in the world, and if I knew what I was supposed to do in the world, there was no excuse anymore, you know. And then you just have to take that key action, and it's so clearing, it's so freeing. Remember, I was terrified. We'll talk more about burning the boats on another call, but that is like such a key step. The first step to actualizing your vision, you know, because you can write your vision down, and then if you don't have like, because there's so much fear and identity wrapped up in changing those key things you've been holding on to, like it is so important to have support. We have like, you know, we're a part of like a couple like amazing spiritual communities, you know, and have a lot of friends that like have filled our lives with people who are working toward getting closer to their higher self and living a calling and life that's in service to others. That's who we fill our feeds with on social media now. That's who we spend all our time with. I remember what used to come up on my social media feed, and now it's like all people who are like putting themselves out in the world to try to awaken and serve others, you know. And so like having those messages constantly reinforces like my knowing that this is what I'm here to do. And so therefore, like putting my vision into life now is so much easier than before, when I would like look at it, but I was surrounded all by people who like were working in the matrix, and who I had like set up around me to validate that kind of lifestyle, you know. So you can do your vision, but then you need like, you know, support. And then it's like taking those big actions to just say, fuck this, like I'm not living a life that I didn't create anymore, or I did create it. I'm not living a life that was dictated to me by others that I then created.
Yeah.
I'm going to recreate my life.
Yeah, and you have to go all the way. You have to go all the way. I mean, that's my belief. If you're called to this, if you're drawn to this, if this is exciting to you, you will never be satisfied unless you go all the way. And I know that from experience, but I really want to contextualize this at this time in history, at the planet's journey, and what's happening here on Earth. You've listened to us before. If you're paying attention in any sort of way, hopefully not too much, but in any sort of way as to what's happening in the world, then you'll see things are really changing. They're actually kind of falling apart. And now more than ever, we need people to go all the way. You got to go all the way. Like, you got to go all the way. Like, you're here to serve. You're drawn to this video. You're listening to us talk. Like, let me tell you something. You're here for a reason. This is no mistake. You got to go all the way. You've got to shed everything. Drop it all. Every last friggin' ounce of it's got to go, because we need you. Like this, we're forming an entirely new society, basically, right under our feet. We need people to go all the way. You got to go all the way.
You will never, never, never feel truly alive or happy or joyous, free, or any of the things you crave to feel unless you do this.
Yeah.
And it is a matter of life and death. Like, the world is actually transforming. It is transforming to a new earth. It is happening right now. Things are falling apart. You don't want to be part of that. You want to be part of the new earth. I know it. I mean, I know that you do, you know, so it's more critical now than ever. And the great thing is, like, there is so much support, you know. Once we took this path, it just like opened up, literally, it opens up a whole new world that you may not have known was there, including all of this like amazing tribe of people who are out there doing this, who are living a totally different way. Like, I was so narrowly identified with my little tunnel of a world. I remember how narrow I was identified with the way that I work, the people I surround myself with, you know, like all of that. I believed that that was it. And then when little things start to pierce. Like I started little awakenings, like, wait a second. You know, we talk about this often, it's like things you start to see, like you just start questioning one area of life, like something will pop open. For us, it was like, you know, food, diet, and the healthcare system, or like, you know, 9/11, like certain things like where you start to look, wait a second, and then like things start to pierce. And when you have that, when you start to awaken and open, there's a whole different world out there, a whole different life to live that is probably very different from, or in many ways different from the one that you thought was the only way.
Yeah, it's always amazing to me that people will be so clear about one area of life. Maybe, and it's often food and diet. I'm often kind of amazed. People are so clear that, like, you got to eat a certain way. Like the mainstream food diet paradigm is completely jacked, and it kind of creates disease and all this toxicity in the body. And in fact, many people go so far as to say that, like, and this is promoted to us. Like everywhere, you can't deny it.
Absolutely is.
I mean, you can't deny that. It is.
Absolutely promoted.
Okay,
a lot of money behind it.
But here's a great, like, capsule, right? Like, this is broken, okay? And it's actually promoted as good when we know it's broken. So guess what? Everything is like that. Everything is like that. Look beyond what it appears as. There's more there than meets the eye. Like, seeing past that is so critical. Anyway, so it's always amazing that, like, people can be so micro-focused and questioning in one area, but won't apply that same thing to other areas. I think that's one thing where we're really good at that. Like, and so that's why I think we have a unique approach and a unique outlook, which is very open and kind of, you know, we've both been to college, like we have all this crap.
We very much did the mainstream path.
We did the whole thing, and then we
many
come out
years struggled with it.
So we have like a really unique way of looking at things. The last thing I'll say is that, at least that I wanted to say, was like, one of the beautiful things about revisioning is that when you tune into your calling, you'll start to kind of have this entirely new vision for your life. And the thing that comes to mind is, and this is a crude example, but just understand this is an example. Like, let's say you tune into your calling and this image of you in a yacht in the Mediterranean just appears. Like, that's part of this vision. You want that. You want to be tuned into your calling, you want to be kicking ass, you want to be like really successful, and you want to be helping a lot of people. This is all awesome, by the way. And then that's something you really want, like, always wanted to have a yacht and be in the Mediterranean. So what's interesting is that may or may not happen. Oftentimes what happens is, as you move forward through this process, you really hone into your calling, your vision will change. It's always changing, always changing. But if you tune into that image, you'll kind of come back into alignment. So these visions, these images that kind of are created through tuning into your calling, that we call revisioning, are really great tools to use to get back into alignment. And you feel out of alignment. You might be at your job, like really frustrated. Your boss is breathing down your neck, wherever it is. You take a deep breath and you just sort of see that vision. You see that vision, and you know you're supported, and you know this is your calling, and you know this is why you're here. And suddenly, like, a lot of that stuff just sort of fades away, and you're back in the zone. That doesn't mean you give your notice right then. That happens in a few weeks or sooner if you want. We'll talk about that and burn the boats, but these are great tools to get back into alignment, because that's actually the most important thing, is to be in that zone, that frequency range of your alignment. You may not be able to kind of hold it right in the middle, purely crystalline clear all day, although that's possible. But part of this is like practicing more and more, just kind of getting into alignment. And these visions that are given to you by virtue of tuning into your calling are there for that, if not anything else, right? So that's actually their function at this point. Because in my experience, like, the further down the road you go, the further in tune, the more clear you get on your calling, actually those are going to change. So use them now. Use them now to just get back into alignment, and really purify that space for yourself and get really used to living that way. Because if you're really in this place, not only will your appearance just naturally begin to change, relationships that didn't serve you will just fall away, realities will change. It will look different, and actually very quickly. But your ability to tune yourself more and more will become key, and you'll actually take back the power of how you feel on a moment-to-moment basis, which is fundamentally what the Matrix is designed to rob you of. It wants your power because it needs it for other things. If you take that back, that's absolutely the most important thing. Revisioning.
Yeah, and you know, the only other thing I was going to add to that, when Stephen brought this idea up to me earlier about like holding on to a vision, the vision of what sort of the yacht example, like the vision of the manifestation of your vision, or who you are, or who the manifestation of your calling. And for me, it's like I just feel power in my hands. I actually feel like light shooting out of my hands. I feel like like sculpting and healing, and it's very like powerful, you know. And if I can tune into that, I feel the power. Often the whole story like has its grip, right? Like the matrix has its grip, and lack beliefs will come up, and so it really is this like constant like tuning process with support in the community, tuning process of like getting more powerful, taking your power back. Like I've been experiencing like rages from like suppressed things that happened in childhood to me recently, and it's been suggested to me by my supportive community to like feel into that, love it, take the power back, you know, because it's just like been so suppressed in so many ways that there is like in many of us like a rage and a power, and that power is it can be channeled in our alignment, you know. So along this journey, especially like the vision is one thing, but when you begin to actualize that vision, like these old lack beliefs, this power the matrix has held over us, as we were talking about, those things will come up. But the more you tune in, the more you support that power, the more you like tune into that truth and start actualizing it, that story just like it's like Neo when he's like dodging the bullets in the matrix, you know. It's just like that belief system, it breaks up, it doesn't have power anymore.
So this is well, it's fun to talk about this. It's fun to listen to you talk about it. So this is kind of part 2 or phase 2, and as we talk about this more, we'll make very clear that these phases sort of blend together. They're not kind of linear. It's not linear.
Yeah, well, we said that, like your calling evolves and your revisioning evolves. It's all about that tuning in process. Like you just get clearer and clearer and clearer and more powerful.
Yeah, totally. So up next,
burning the boat.
Maybe on the weekend or early next week, we'll see. But we're going to talk about burning the boat. And this is the irrevocable action that those people won't take without some support, without some encouragement, without like a bigger design in mind. But that's the thing that will make the ultimate difference. Yeah.
Cool.
Love to you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.